People are like, oh, Kamala Harris, she might run again. She might run in the next presidential election. And these like left-wing shows play that reaction I had to you mentioning how she might run for governor of California. And I had a very real, yes, knee-jerk reaction to it. I started screaming, no, what are you doing? Don't do that. Because she's a bad candidate.
She's awful.
She sounds like she's drunk.
So
okay,
I know, no, she's the greatest. He ran a flawless campaign. Biden is young.
Pretending. Stop pretending.
Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian have an absolute meltdown and go off after a recent Kamala Harris speech. Kamala Harris gave a speech showing that she took absolutely no responsibility in her part on why the Democrats lost the election. And Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian has had enough and completely rip her to shreds. Let's see what Cenk and Ana have to say.
Speaking at the Leading Women Defined Summit in California. This happened last Thursday. And she used this as an opportunity to look at American voters and say the following.
We are seeing organizations stay quiet. We are seeing those who are capitulating to clearly unconstitutional threats. And these are the things that we are witnessing each day in these last few months in our country. And it understandably creates a great sense of fear. Because, there were many things that we knew would happen. Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so.
I'm just gonna go to you because, no, I'm gonna say it. You were a crappy candidate. And you were part of a group of people who provided cover for a man who was falling apart mentally speaking, but decided to run anyway. Decided to stay in the race for a month after that disastrous debate against Donald Trump. And then when Biden, the most unpopular sitting president, called you up before the debate and told you, remember, kiddo, no daylight between us, do not differentiate yourself from me, you listened. So to sit there or stand there and give a speech about, I told you so, I told you so. These are the worst people, man. They really are, okay? No, we all knew what Donald Trump was. We all knew. And for all the Democratic ass kissers out there who provided cover for the bad behavior of that administration, they directed their ire toward people like us who kept warning the Democrats, you're gonna lose to Trump, you're gonna lose to Trump, you're pushing unpopular policies, you're gaslighting Americans on the issue of immigration. If you do that, that creates an opening for someone like Donald Trump to come in and do what he's doing in regard to mass deportations, do what he's doing in regard to literally deporting people before they even have a single day in front of a judge to adjudicate whether or not they're undocumented, to adjudicate whether or not they're actually gang members.
Yeah.
So for all, by the way, all the left-wing media folks who directed their ire toward me, and they're like, oh, you see that? Anna's getting what she wants. No, I'm not getting what I wanted. I wanted Democrats to stop gaslighting American citizens and acknowledge what was going on in the country and provide their solutions for it.
Too much to ask for.
Too much to ask for. Anna's the problem. Oh, big, strong, big, bad Ana. With all of her power, she's the one who swung the election, right? I can't stand these people. They're the worst.
As much as I want to applaud Ana for this, as much as I want to say, yeah, you go, girl, you slay queen. You tell it like it is and side with her because she's talking smack about Kamala Harris, and which, by the way, she's not wrong about Kamala Harris. But what irritates me, though, about Ana and Cenk is that they act like they weren't part of the problem. They acted like, listen, I'm not saying that they were pro Kamala all the way or anything like that, and they just did nothing but side with her, but they helped push So, like for instance, a few months ago, I did a video where it was Charlie Kirk talking with Cenk Uygur. This was before the election, and Charlie Kirk asks, like, "Well, do you think it's all right that they just kind of pretty much shoved Joe Biden out and with Kamala?" And Cenk defended it, saying, "Well, listen, yeah, I thought it was wrong at first, but you know what? Once she got the delegates, then I was okay with it. But if she wouldn't have gotten the delegates, then no." But he was defending the whole move. He was saying, yeah, no, it's good that Joe Biden, they got him out and they got Kamala in there. He wasn't sitting there saying, well, I think Kamala's a horrible candidate. I don't think she's going to win. Like these people like Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian weren't exactly sounding the alarms that, oh yeah, Kamala is terrible. Like, yes, they might have put out some objective stories here and there, maybe saying things like, oh, Kamala said something stupid or whatnot. But these two are just as much like, even in this, they're still criticizing Donald Trump and such, which, by the way, I'm not saying they can't criticize Donald Trump, but it's still that whole narrative, like the whole mud deportations, mud undue process. Like, oh, okay, well, these people don't need to come into our country the legal way, but we have to deport them the legal way, whatever that is. We need to give these people due process, even though they disrespected our country by coming here illegally and such. But we need to respect their rights, though.
Worst.
Okay, let alone me. I'm going to start with a small thing and then get bigger. So first, I also can't stand her dramatic pauses that never lead to anything. Like, you're supposed to do the pause if you're really gonna deliver a point. Like,
I can't stand them.
Every politician is taught this. She's so bad at it. They're always anticlimactic. Okay, that's minor. Now you get to the laugh, right? So guys, if anyone can say told you so, I would argue that it's us. And I would say even more specifically me, okay?
God, and then this is so annoying. Like, Cenk is so annoying when he acts like he knew everything. If we would have just listened to Cenk, then everything would have been better. Like, no, dude, no. I just pointed out an example of how you didn't call out replacing Biden with Kamala. You didn't call that out at all. But he always does that. He always goes, no, if you would have just listened to us. But it's bullshit. It's bullshit. He's lying. I mean, I know people who watch my channel already know that Cenk is full of crap. But for the people out there who don't know, he's straight up lying.
So why? And then let's talk about the difference in the told you so's. Number one, a year and a half ago, we started a campaign, now even longer, I think, to get Biden out of the race. Why? Because we weirdly hate Biden? No, I mean, I'm not a fan of Biden's, but the reason to get him out of the race that early was because he was gonna lose to Trump. And what I kept saying on the show, and we did a petition and Young Turks viewers signed it, they should get all the credit. They were prescient enough all the way back then to say, guys, we're not gonna beat Donald Trump with a guy who can't talk. We, at the Young Turks, our viewers have eyes and ears. And we can see that he's super old, can't finish his sentences, mumbles, repeats. He's a disaster. And his popularity is in the 30s. And for an incumbent in the 40s, you always lose. In the 30s, it's almost impossible to win. So lost young people, it was nearly impossible to win. So we were the ones who cared the most about Democrats winning and Trump losing. So we're like, can you please try to win? And be like, how dare you? Winning is not important, even though we're saying democracy's on the line and the other side is Nazis. Winning is not nearly as important as protecting Democratic leadership. So if Joe Biden, the incompetent man with obvious dementia, if the Mad King says he's staying in the race and we're gonna lose, we all have to bow to the Mad King. You, Young Turks hosts and audience, and all of you, you guys defying the Mad King is a much bigger crime than Joe Biden's giant ego saying, I don't care if I have dementia, I want it to be me and only me. And I don't care if I lose to Trump, as long as it's me. That egomaniac fool and all of his advisors put us on the ship headed straight toward an iceberg. And we kept screaming, it's an iceberg straight ahead. And they would yell at us, oh, look at these guys warning about an iceberg. It's your fault, you created the iceberg. No, we didn't, you incompetent fools. Then what did we say? Once Biden finally dropped out and we were 100% right, we said do an open convention. Please do an open convention. Obama and Pelosi didn't endorse Kamala Harris. They didn't endorse because they know she's a disaster. Biden did endorse because he knows she's a disaster and he wanted her to lose so he could say his version of I told you so. My career is so much more important. As we told you all these.
So again, Cenk Uygur said, listen, yeah, they would have wanted to do a primary, but but as long as she got the delegates, he doesn't really care. He said that. So no, he wasn't sounding the alarms or anything like that at the time. Again, I'm not saying they never spoke out against the left side. That's the thing about the Young Turks, is that they do speak out against their own side sometimes. So I'll give them that. I'm not saying that they're 100% just pro Kamala and Biden on board. I'm sure there are times where they criticize them or saying, no, this is a mistake. We're going to lose if we don't do this. But overall, there's still a Democrat left-leaning show. And bottom line is this. The Democrats are now saying, yeah, Joe Biden had dementia. When we were saying since like 2020 that Joe Biden doesn't seem like he's all there. And it only gotten worse since then. But we were saying this in 2020. And the Democrats on the left, they try to gaslight us and saying, no, it's a stutter, actually. It's a stutter. Or, he takes mental tests every day and he's fine. Like, we've been saying that for a long time, but you guys were like, no, he's fine, he's fine. Remember, Orange Man bad. Let's be honest here. If they wouldn't have switched out Biden for Kamala, if they would have kept Biden in, the Young Turks here, yeah, sure, would they have criticized him? Sure. But they wouldn't have been sounding the alarms. They would have still been carrying the water for Biden and the Democrats because they don't want Trump getting in. Like, they don't want Trump in office. In their eyes, especially in Cenk Uygur's mind, Orange Man bad, and anyone is better than Donald Trump. Even Kamala Harris. They're just mad that they lost, and now all of them are finger pointing. Everyone in the Democrat Party, from the people in the party, like the politicians, to their voters, to the media, like the Young Turks, are all pointing fingers at different directions, saying it's your fault, no, it's your fault, no, it's their fault. It's all your guys' faults. All of you guys. Point the fingers at yourselves.
I told you so. Do you see me laughing? No, you know why? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who was right in terms of the consequences and the damage. It matters for the next election. Do not ever listen to these liars. Look at how cavalier she is. That laugh is unbearable. I mean, uproarious laughter. The whole country's in a disaster now. But my career was slightly better off now because I seem like I was more right than Trump. That's not funny, man. It's not funny. So real people are hurt, and it's so obvious that all the elites in the Democratic Party couldn't care less. The only thing they're obsessed with, just like Trump, is their own ego, their own careers, and their own benefit.
Bingo.
And they disgust me.
Yeah, and like, I wouldn't be laughing. You lost to that guy. You lost to that guy.
So what
are you laughing about? I mean, it's just, by the way, my other very favorite thing that's happening right now, people are like, oh, Kamala Harris, she might run again. She might run in the next presidential election. And these like left-wing shows play that reaction I had to you mentioning how she might run for governor of California. And I had a very real, yes, knee-jerk reaction to it. I started screaming, no, what are you doing? Don't do that. Because she's a bad candidate.
She's awful.
She sounds like she's drunk.
So
okay,
I know,
no,
she's the greatest. He ran a flawless campaign. Biden is young.
Stop pretending. The video she submitted to that little Catholic thing where the roast happened.
Al Smith dinner, yeah.
Yeah, the Al Smith dinner. That video wasn't funny at all, not even a little bit. Okay, she is not a talented politician. She's not a leader. Let's stop pretending like a pile of crap is gold, because it's not.
So look, at the end of the day, since I had no choice and I was positive that Trump didn't give a goddamn about our Constitution and is super stupid and would do the things that he did, I voted for Kamala Harris.
Oh, didn't I just say that earlier? I called it. I said Cenk Uygur is an idiot. I said, because to Cenk Uygur, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, as terrible candidates as they are, to Cenk Uygur, it's still better than Trump. Because Cenk Uygur has Trump derangement syndrome. I'll give Ana some credit. She didn't vote for Kamala. I don't know who she voted for. She didn't. I don't think she voted for Trump, but she said she didn't vote for Kamala. So at least credit to her. She at least put her money where her mouth is. But Cenk Uygur, you're part of the freaking problem, you idiot.
For the Kamala Harris fans, can you please come back to earth and reality?
They won't. They can't.
So
they're incapable of it.
If you think she ran a flawless campaign and lost to Donald Trump, how does that make sense? How can you sit there and go, oh yeah, Trump is the worst idiot in the world. Kamala Harris ran a perfect campaign, but somehow magically lost to him. And now there's these people who are drinking like Blue Anon Kool-Aid 24/7. Oh, I think she won. I think she secretly won. Now we got loons on it. Oh, should we raid the Capitol? Okay, so no guys. And by the way, if you're listening to a host who's telling you that Kamala Harris was amazing and that she should run again, you should never trust that host. That host, in a best case scenario, has no earthly idea about politics. They saw that most obvious campaign of all time, saw her bungling it in 8,000 different ways, wrapping her arms around Liz and Dick Cheney, who were at 13% approval, bragging about how 90 corporate CEOs were on her side, and she's the great queen of corporate rule.
Crapping on young Democratic voters who wanted something from her, something in regard to Israel and what they're doing to Palestinians in Gaza. But what did she do? Shut them down, didn't listen to a damn thing they had to say, wouldn't even let a Democratic Palestinian surrogate give a pre-approved short speech at the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah.
Okay, she's garbage as a candidate, she's not a leader, and she deserved to lose.
And by the way, look, when she came out.
Man, this Copen seething session is really something to watch. I gotta say, not only is Cenk losing it, but Ana's getting in on the fun as well. Pretty entertaining stuff. What do you guys think about this so far? Leave a comment down in the comment section below. Click, smash, tap, I don't care, but just make sure that like button is clicked. Let's continue.
Pick Tim Walz, talked about price gouging, and said she was gonna do something about housing. We said fantastic, because those are good policies. And then what did she do? She turned right around. Because her donors complained, and her stupid brother-in-law, who's a stupid lobbyist, came in and said, oh, you gotta kiss the ass of corporations. She said, no, price gouging, I didn't mean it. Tim Walz, I'm putting him in a basement, he's not allowed to talk again. I won't let him do interviews. Okay, and houses, this is the #1 issue, I'm barely gonna talk about it. Instead, I'm gonna have all my surrogates go out and tell you how much corporations love me. So by the way, if you're a progressive, it's one thing to vote for Kamala Harris as I did. Okay, and hold your nose and go, man, she was a terrible candidate. She's not gonna deliver on anything, but I can't have Trump terminate the Constitution. Okay, I'm right there with you. But if you're pretending to be a progressive and you're cheerleading for Kamala Harris, and you're cheerleading for the senator from MBNA, that's President Biden, he was known as a senator from a credit card company. And those corporate goons, don't tell me you're a progressive, spare it, okay? You can tell me you're, but hey, Democrats, rah, corporatism, yay. Okay, you can do that, at least be honest about it. But there's nothing progressive about these people.
So Tim Walz came out and responded to what he saw in that speech with Kamala Harris. And I want to go to that video, let's take a look.
What does "I told you so" really mean here? I mean, people heard.
Tim Walz. Tim Walz. Look at his stupid face. He always looks like he has like a permanent sad emoji face on him. Like, what is this? Stupid fucking Tim Walz, dude.
Her message. They did not vote for her. She lost every battleground state. You yourself have criticized the Harris-Walz campaign for being too cautious. She may have told the American people, she may have warned the American people, but she didn't do it compellingly enough to win.
That is the absolute point. And look, when I criticize, I'm criticizing myself. I own this, I'm part of the ticket. And somebody has to come up with a strategy. I think this is exactly right. This is the thing. Look, Democrats, it was a good night in Wisconsin. I was over there, we saw that happen. Donald Trump's doing this. Just to be clear, nobody on the Democratic side is celebrating this. And those folks in the street are not celebrating that Donald Trump's making all these errors. I think what the vice president's saying is that was pretty self-evident that he was going to do that.
You know, The thing I really do appreciate about Tim Walz is the fact that he is willing to self-reflect. He is willing to do something that almost no politician is willing to do, take personal responsibility.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, Tim Walz says that he takes responsibility, which, yeah, that's true. That's more than anybody, including the Young Turks, is willing to do. Mr. Cenk Uygur over here with Kamala Harris, horrible candidate, but I still voted for her. But has he exactly said what he feels he's done wrong? Does he exactly say what he thinks he could have done better? It's one thing just to say, yeah, listen, I was part of the problem. But it's one thing to say that you're a part of the problem and to actually acknowledge how you were a part of the problem. Because when you acknowledge how you were a part of the problem, then you could better not only do better next time, because you can improve on those things, but it could also show that you're being genuine. Like, okay, you actually did self-reflect. You actually do acknowledge that you did do some things wrong. You know what you did wrong. And maybe, just maybe, you can improve as a person and as a potential candidate in the future.
And he's honest and he's authentic. So give me more Tim Walz. And he got bills passed, progressive bills, populist bills, wonderful bills in Minnesota. That's why we were excited when she picked Tim Walz. We did like 8 different shirts on Tim Walz. We could barely get any excitement on Kamala Harris because she wasn't running on policies that mattered and would make a difference in your life. Tim Walz was. But unfortunately, him being honest, he said something that was very telling there. He says someone has to come up with a strategy.
No, Democrats don't like that. Democrats don't like strategy. They like to pay influencers to pretend like Democrats are perfect, but they don't like to listen to their base. They loathe their base. I mean, how many election cycles have they made that abundantly clear? They loathe their own voters. So they hire these like pubescent like influencers on TikTok to pretend as if the Democrats are perfect and they're totally kicking ass when they're not. They didn't offer anything in the last election. They gaslit Americans who were concerned about very serious issues within the country. And when you do that, you create a vacuum in which Republicans come in, Donald Trump comes in, and he's like, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, so look guys, unfortunately it's pathetic that there isn't a single person in the Democratic Party who's come up with a strategy. I mean, that's the former VP candidate telling you there's no one with a strategy. So there's gonna be one soon. In a couple of weeks, I'm gonna announce something. And then when I do, a plan to take back the Democratic Party and win the White House. You know what everybody's gonna say? How dare you? Who do you think you are? And I have the answer to that. Apparently the only person with a plan. So as you know, it's a super low bar, guys. And so I encourage you to come up with your own plan because these Democrats aren't gonna ride to the rescue. You gotta be your own cavalry. So the minute when we announce the plan, we'll literally be the only Democrats in the country that have a plan on how to take back the White House.
I mean, he is right. It is a low bar. It's such a low bar that even Cenk Uygur coming here and go be like, duh, I'm going to come up with my own plan. And I mean, yeah, probably by default, it's going to be better than anything the Democrats have done. I don't think it's going to be good in general, but hey, miracles can happen, people. So a couple of things. So if Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian, if they really want to know what the problem with the Democrat Party is, maybe this isn't the only problem, but I would say this is a major problem. This is a major source, is that none of you guys want to take any responsibility. None of you. I mean, like I said, you have Cenk Uygur over here who's like, Kamala Harris, horrible candidate, horrible candidate. I voted for her, by the way, but horrible candidate. I mean, the Democrats' plan is just demonize Donald Trump. That was it. And you know what? It worked for some people. It worked on Cenk. Cenk is one of those dummies that heard that and was like, yeah, listen, I'm going to hold my nose and vote for Kamala because Orange Man bad. So really, are the Democrats really out of line for thinking that all they have to say is just Trump bad? Trump threat to democracy, Trump evil, my January 6th, my bigotry, my hatred, my xenophobia, my all of this? Are they really out of line for thinking that's not going to work? It worked on Cenk. It worked on him. But apparently it's not going to work because most people are, as we've shown in November, are smarter than that now. Majority of people are way smarter. They're not believing the Democrat lies anymore and all the BS. So yeah, now you have to scramble because in 4 years, Trump is not going to run again. I don't think he's going to run again. I know he's talked about the third term, but I honestly think he's trolling, but that's another topic for another time. But in 4 years, they have to think of a plan because they can't just use Donald Trump forever. They have to actually come up with a strategy. They actually have to do something. And you guys at the Young Turks have to do a better job at calling it out. Because all you lefty shows, not even just the Young Turks, but even David Pakman. Remember, David Pakman, his viewers were mad at him. And they're like, you lied to us. And he was like, I tried to tell you, but you guys didn't want to listen. All after the election, all you guys came out of your little rat holes and were like, I tried to tell you guys. I tried to tell you. Well, apparently you didn't do a good enough job. You did not do a good enough job because all of your viewers still went and voted for Kamala. So yes, guys, yes, left-wing media, you guys are guilty in this as well. And you guys play a part. And until any of you guys realize that you guys all effed up in your own way, there is no hope for you guys. I mean, yeah, obviously you guys are going to have to come up with better policies as well. But you guys can't do that until you guys face some personal responsibility. But what do you guys think about this meltdown by Cenk and Ana? Sound off in the comment section below. Smash that like button if you enjoyed it. And if you really enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to my channel. You'll be helping me out a lot. If you like seeing the Young Turks have meltdowns and looking like jackasses, I got more content on my channel featuring the Young Turks and much more that I think you'll